Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Collision Control Center. I am Mindrunner, and what an incredible collision that we experienced. It was Grand Slam in Australia. G'day, crikey dingo. It was quite the spectacle. It felt much more like a pay-per-view than an actual, just regular episode of Collision. This is what should be Battle of the Belts going forward, because we had a lot of title matches on the line, incredible action, incredible stuff going on. Let's get right to it. The first match, right out the gate, we were given the candy right away. We had the tag team battle between the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita, and the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher, in his home country, taking on Will Ospreay and Kenny by God Omega. What an incredible display of athleticism. It was fantastic. Both teams had a lot of chemistry together, and it was great to see Kenny and Will double team everybody, as well as to see Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita take everybody on. The audience was great. The crowd was fantastic. This was a showdown. This was a great way to kick off this awesome night of action. One of the highlights, though, was the finisher, when they had Kenny Omega was struggling to get Konosuke Takeshita in the One-Winged Angel, and then Will Ospreay with the assist with the Hidden Blade combo was enough to get the 1-2-3 on the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. It was an incredible match. Awesome stuff. What a great way. It's the match of the night, and that says a lot because there were a lot of bangers this evening. Next up, we had, perhaps, in my opinion, the most entertaining match of the evening, and a star in the making, with Harley Cameron took on Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. Such a great match overall. This actually not only was a star-making match for Harley Cameron, but it also continues to enhance Mercedes Moné and give her the practice that I believe she needs to make herself a better superstar. She definitely felt the heel vibe, as sounded like the entire country of Australia was booing Mercedes Moné. But of course, the highlight, the biggest pop did not come for Mercedes or for Harley. The biggest pop in this match came for the puppet Mercedes, who was promptly thrown across the ring and then later reemerged with angry eyebrows, showing a much more angry puppet. Moné got involved. Now, unfortunately, Harley Cameron was not able to secure a victory, but that's fine, because what she did secure was in our hearts. She has elevated herself into such a higher standard for women's wrestling. This was a great match. I'm looking forward to watching Harley continue to rise, and guarantee, mark my words, in 2025, before the end of the year, Harley Cameron will have gold around her waist of some kind. And then things got brutal as we kicked off the Brisbane Brawl. We had the Death Riders, no dogs allowed. They were taking on Jay White, the Switchblade, and Adam Copeland. In one of the coolest moments of the night, Adam Copeland comes out to Metalingus. He's just standing in the ring. They fade out his music. The entire crowd continues to sing word for word the lyrics to Metalingus. It was such a tremendous moment. You could tell it was really getting Adam Copeland in the feels. He had to adjust himself, and he just felt it. It just really gave him the energy he needed to get through this match. Unfortunately, and kind of a questionable ending, they battled back and forth. There were a lot of incredible spots, but then Adam Copeland passed out to Moxley's chokehold, and technically it was referee stoppage. So this is going to be interesting going into Revolution as Adam Copeland attempts to rescue the heavyweight title from Jon Moxley. We'll have to see what goes on with that. Switchblade looked great. Claudio looked great. Moxley looked deranged. They kept chanting, Moxley's a wanker. It was incredible. But ultimately, the Death Riders were able to prevail. And then we got to see an incredible showing of Buddy Matthews versus Okada for the Intercontinental Breakfast title. I'm not sure what it's called, Continental, Intercontinental Breakfast, what have you. But this was fantastic because win or lose, Buddy Matthews won. Of course, there were rumors that Rhea Ripley, his better half, was in the rings, or was in the arena somewhere. But this was such a great moment because whatever was going on with the House of Black, maybe there were some issues with Tony Khan and Malachi Black, what have you. Now that Buddy Matthews and Brody King and Julia Hart are establishing themselves separate now, they put the House of Black behind them, we're really getting to see these guys shine on their own. And Buddy Matthews really, and over the last few matches that he's had, has really been able to show what he can do. And this was, regardless of how this ended, this was such an incredible display from Buddy Matthews. Not only his athletic prowess, but his understanding of ring awareness and playing to the crowd. Of course, this was, again, another Aussie playing to the crowd, playing to his hometown. There was a great moment when, of course, Okada does his pose and flips off everybody. Then he goes to flip off Buddy Matthews. Buddy grabs his finger and powers himself up. There were so many great moments here. Buddy Matthews, I almost want to say, out-wrestled Okada. Definitely earned his respect, but he's still a beach, according to Okada. And Okada was able to get the win. It was nefarious as he did a low blow behind the ref, blocking the ref. Got the 1, 2, 3. And at this point, every Australian wrestler got a loss at this event. So this was not looking good for the arena. So we were hoping we were at least going to get a W somewhere. Well, before we continue, let's check in with my other half, my tag team partner, SPD, with his report.
What's up, everyone? SPD here, popping in on Collision Control Center. I gotta say, this was by far my favorite Collision in a long, long time. If you're a wrestling fan and you watch this show, there's no way you didn't absolutely love it. From top to bottom, everything was booked so perfectly. And from the start of the matches to the great finale, the only thing missing from last night was some confetti for Toni Storm's championship win. You know, SPD is a mark for some confetti, so that was one thing I was missing out. But from top to bottom, perfect show placement. The crowd was absolutely on fire, and I'm sure you've been talking about it, Mindrunner. And I think it just came at such a perfect time in AEW's landscape. The road to Revolution, and in a time where you're seeing a slight shift of the smaller venues and the crowds just being epic, this just reignited so much for us fans at home. I feel like having a huge stadium show like this, 10,000 plus in Australia. But I think what really stood out to me the most was that stars were born last night. And, you know, it may not have turned out the way we wanted to in terms of match results, but clearly the fans are behind certain wrestlers. And we heard about some stuff on Ring of Honor. I can't wait to see how that one pans out in Australia. But last night, from every single match, we were reminded of who is the top star and why, as well as creating new stars and taking them to the next level. First match, the tag match. Obviously, we are just reminded on how main event and epic Kenny Omega is. By gosh, the best bout machine. And then you have Harley Cameron, homegrown Harley in AEW and down at her hometown in Australia. The pops and the crowds and the chants and the new presentation and the new ring attire, I think everything has changed for her and in such a good way in 2025. And the Death Riders tag match, Obviously, one of the most monumental moments of the night was the crowd singing Cope's theme song, and I've probably rewatched that about a dozen times now, and I absolutely love it. And of course, like you are just that much more excited for that main event because Cope's coming for vengeance, and I think it's time. I think it's Cope's time to dethrone Mox because he's been getting beaten down and choked out week after week, and I think he's ready for some redemption. And Buddy Matthews, talk about a star-studded performance. And I'll let you dive deep into all this, Mind Runner. But man, star-making moment for Buddy Matthews, and I think that was needed to really showcase what he can do as a singles wrestler. Timeless Tony Storm. I know you're a huge women's wrestling fan. I think this just set the bar for the women's division and reminded us all like the women's division is top notch in AEW. And I was so excited this was the main event. The crowd was on fire for it. This was the absolute right decision, especially Timeless being on Team SPD. So back to you, Mind Runner. Take it away for the rest of Collision Control Center.
Thank you, SPD. You're a rock star. And then it was time for the main event, the main attraction of the night. And Mariah May was defending her title against Timeless Tony Storm. And what an amazing match this was. Of course, Mariah May is fantastic. Tony Storm is on such another level, has completely raised the bar for the women's division in AEW. Both ladies put on one incredible show, not just from athletic prowess, but also the story, the emotion, the storytelling in the ring. We got to see Luther. Everything was fantastic. Tony Storm, of course, was the one Aussie that was able to get a win. She is now the four-time AEW Women's Champion. She was able to get the 1-2-3 over Mariah May with a interesting small package roll-up. So I guarantee this feud is not over, and I don't blame you because this is money in the bank here, or it's money in the credit union, if you will. I don't want to get sued or for copyright or anything. But regardless, the Timeless One was able to win in front of her hometown. She got to have her moment. It was incredible. And this actually mirrors Mariah May having her moment in the UK at All In Wembley. And now Toni Storm was able to get her title win in her hometown. It was fantastic. This was one of the best collisions I've seen in a long time. It was pay-per-view quality. I hope going forward, Tony Khan starts making the Battle of the Belts more like this. Even if, again, you only have one title change, this is what we want to see for Battle of the Belts. So I hope that going forward, we get to see that. Well, it goes without saying, after an awesome night, both SPD and I have chosen Toni Storm as our top performer. She crushed it. She was fantastic from start to finish. She was in her element, in her zone. Congratulations, Toni Storm. You are our top performer. And for those of you following the draft, here's a little sneak peek. The draft results at this time, SPD and Steven are tied for first with 13 each. And we have a three-way tie right behind them. Courtney, Crayfish, and Moi are right behind with 11 each. Brian with 10, Brent with 9, Bobby with 6, and then still chugging along, the sweetest, hottest caboose in the game, Full Tilt Deb with 4. Well, folks, this has been your Collision Control Center for February 15th, 2025, Episode 3. I am Mind Runner. Make sure you tune in to us every Thursday live, 9 p.m. Eastern, for your Dynamite download recaps. And make sure you hit the like button. Please hit subscribe and hit the bell for notifications for our special surprise Friday night flights and our surprise interviews with some of the major AEW talent and adjacent talent. For SPD and the crew, I am Mind Runner, and we'll see you on Thursday.